Welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I am your host, Buckeye Boggs, aka the Podfather, and we're thankful you decided to join us this evening for what will be I am assuming, going to be a fun time with my good buddy, John Kennedy. Do us a big favor, everybody, before you do anything else, if you haven't already, and smash that like button. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not already, ring the bell. Get notified every time we go live and we drop new content on your lap. The chat's already fired up and going. We've got some Buckeyes, we got some Irish guys and gals. It's gonna be a lot of fun, everybody. We are the official Ohio State podcast of Fansided and Scarlet and Game, as John likes to say, and as I do as well. If you do not like the way my face looks, don't worry, neither does my ex-wife. You can listen to us wherever you download your podcast from, as well as over on Fansided at scarletandgame.com. Also, we are the official Ohio State podcast of The College Huddle. Head on over to thecollegehuddle.com, where you can find myself, 85 other of our closest friends from coast to coast, covering their teams of choice, including Always Irish and John Kennedy. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring on the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. John Kennedy from Always Irish. John, here we go, buddy. This is last time we did this, it might have broke the internet.
Yeah, it was, it's been a while, and I needed that time to recover before I made another appearance, quite frankly. And I got to tell you, I'm a little jealous I can't use that ex-wife line on audio only. That's pretty good. I got to work on that. I like that. That's one I can't, it's great when I say, if you don't want to see my dumb face, but I like that extra line. I might have to work on heading in that direction.
Well, John, I don't recommend that. It's very painful, and it doesn't help the financial billfold at all. But yeah, I can say it. Thankfully, my dear wife, my second wife, my forever wife, as I call her.
That's what you think. For now.
She's in the chat monitoring with everybody else, so she's a big fan of John Kennedy as well. That eyebrow raise tells me she's not the only one, huh? Here we go. It's good to have everybody with us in the chat tonight. We are going to do this tonight. John and I set this up interestingly. I'm going to interview him tonight for the first part of the show. We're going to dive into Notre Dame. I need to know from an Ohio State fan all about the Irish this season, where he is at, where your fan base is at going into 2025. Then we're going to take a commercial break like we always do to pay the bills. We're going to flip it around. And then John is going to interview me about those Buckeyes. And and that way we can answer his questions as well. And so we're going to have a good time, everybody. Super chats will be taken. If you want to super chat John and myself tonight, we would appreciate that. We are trying to raise money, John, for 2nd and 7, which is the organization that my cousin Ryan Miller, right there, number 43, played for Ohio State back in the mid-90s. Him, Mike Vrabel, and Luke Fickell started an organization called 2nd and 7, where they pass out literature to second graders. And that has expanded into little free libraries. And we at the OHIL podcast have tried to raise money for that. And we raised enough money to the library right here in Delaware, Ohio. We're going to do a second one in Marion. Ryan is going to be with us next week to try to help raise that money. So all super chats tonight, next Sunday night, will go towards raising the money for those libraries. They cost $1,000, and we have 490 raised already. So any super chats tonight will go directly towards that $1,000 we're trying to raise. So thank you in advance for any of the super chats. All right, let's dive into it, John. Last year, I felt like the North rose up once again. You had in 2023, Washington, more West Coast than what I would consider North, but Washington and the Cheaters from up North play for a national championship. Last year, two teams that won't have an asterisk attached to them, Ohio State and Notre Dame, did the same. Let's start here. I believe NIL has leveled the playing field with the South when it comes to the bag man. And I've been proclaiming this for a couple of years. We've now seen 2 years of this, the fruits of that evidence, if you will. Has the North risen up and is playing level to the South in college football, and is it here to stay?
I think you're right about the NIL thing. And I don't care what anybody says. Everybody knows like the bag man is a real thing. And especially down south, it's been a real thing forever. And now everybody can pay. Everybody can pay. So, like, yeah, if you do NIL right, it's going to level out the playing field a little bit. And when it was talked about becoming legal and going through the courts and we knew it was coming, I was saying if Notre Dame plays their cards right and gets into this, it's really going to help because Notre Dame has a lot of people with a lot of money that want to support football. So, yeah, I absolutely think that's a big piece of it. And the other thing that it does, Eric, is you don't have these few teams that are able to load up like a second string of 5-star guys too. So some of the talent spreads out. Guys that think they could play right away and they're not or whatever, they'll go somewhere else for NIL and play. So it also levels out some of the depth with some of these programs because there's some darn good players that are not starting. They'll leave and go start somewhere with the NIL money. So I do think that's helped. And for Notre Dame specifically, they're really getting heavily involved. And last year created a lot of buy-in and proof of concept for Marcus Freeman. And the money's rolling in and they could compete in a way that they couldn't when NIL first started or when it was the old days where there was a bag under Granny's porch. So, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So that being said, and thank you, Bobby Mack, for our first $2 holler for a good cause. So appreciate that. So we're off and running on the money being raised tonight for 2nd and 7. So that being said, John, where's Notre Dame at when it comes to this, and how has that affected Marcus Freeman's job moving forward when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to transfer portal, when it comes to player retention, etc.?
Notre Dame can compete. All right. If there's a guy they really want, they could come up with the money and make an equal or better offer. Like that's what it all comes down to is I have been reassured through some of our contacts and the people and the way things are going. Notre Dame can compete. A great example with a tight end recruit a few weeks ago. We weren't in a good place, was going to stay, in the area he's from, Kansas State, Kansas, something like that. Iowa State were some of the finalists he's from that way. And Notre Dame wasn't going to land him in the morning, and Notre Dame up their NIL, and they landed him a few hours later. Like, it's just, they're able to compete now. And Eric, here's something that I was worried about. And I think it took Notre Dame a while to get used to this. Notre Dame, there's like this icky, paying players. We don't like that. Like this, you should be here for the education. Like, I felt that when NIL was becoming a thing of like, even though it's legal, is Notre Dame going to be so high and mighty that they feel like that's below them to let it be known these guys are getting money, even though they do stuff for it? I still was wondering, are they going to get with this? They have. You got a new modern AD that is right with the head coach on their vision. He's helping Marcus get what he needs within Notre Dame's value structure. They're able to compete now in a different way. So, are they going to be, it's not Nike Oregon spending, right? Like it's not that with a benefactor where it's whatever you want. But when Notre Dame's not losing out on guys because they just can't even get close on a number for a guy they want. That's not a thing anymore.
So I know it's an aspect of the recruiting jump. I'll call it a recruiting jump that Notre Dame has taken this offseason. I'm sure NIL is an aspect of it, but what is the pulse of that? You being plugged in and connected, what is the main energy behind Notre Dame's jump in recruiting? Is it that? Is it the fact they went to the national championship? Is it a mixture of both? Is it just the charisma that Marcus Freeman has that
It's
Chris want to admit to? I see you in the chat, my buddy.
Yeah,
So
and
what
I
is it?
like him a lot better on the chat than I do on the screen. So it's a good spot for him. It's a good spot for him. It's a little bit of all of that, Eric. And I'm not going to say NIL's the number one thing. You still got to go to school and take tough classes. So the NIL doesn't solve. It's not like write a check, party on South Beach. You're going to South Bend. So the NIL's a part of it. Marcus Freeman's charisma, vibe, everybody likes him. The program feels more open, more modern, more hip, just more like family oriented. Like everybody's involved here. There's like it's a different vibe. The NIL's up to par. And then now you have skins on the wall. You got to realize we didn't win the championship. We won more major games in 3 weeks than we won in the last 30 years. That is causing a lot of buy-in, a lot of fan excitement, a lot of donors who want to be involved. I mean, there's some skins on the wall now. And I know some people be like, well, that's pathetic, John. I'm sorry, it might be, but it's still the truth. We won more major postseason games in 3 weeks than in 30 years of my stupid life. I'm serious. That's real. And so you combine all of that, and it shouldn't be a surprise that Notre Dame's having the best recruiting class they've had in a very long time right now. So it's a little bit of everything you mentioned.
Thank you, Jeffrey. $2 for the cause. We're up to 4 tonight. Appreciate my friend. All right, so you got some skins on the wall. I like that, by the way. I might have to steal that one. That's pretty good. I've stolen several things from you, John, and just added my unfortunate life to it. I like the intro. But that being said, that's pretty good. Transitioning from 2024 to 2025. Notre Dame, the last 2 years, has gone to the portal to grab a quarterback. Been pretty good. I would say last year went really well. And after that first drive, I thought to myself, they've got the offensive plan to attack us. Unfortunately, I think that kind of ran them to death there on that first drive. But new starting quarterback in 2025. Similar situation for Ohio State as well. I'm sure we'll get into that in the second part of the show. New quarterback, 2025, but this one recruited, now developed. What's that look like and sound like from a Notre Dame fan's perspective going into the season?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, Eric. It's, you had Sammy Hartman and a good head of hair 2 years ago, and that didn't quite go as well as anybody hoped. Then you had Riley Leonard, and he was a great leader and did a great job, banged up and whatever, did a good job. For a while, we've been kind of saying eventually you're going to want to find a homegrown quarterback you could set the roots in the ground with, to where you're going to have a quarterback for a few years. The offense can coalesce around him. You could, get some rhythm with the receivers and that guy, not have to worry about the portal. And then every offseason, there's a drama of who the quarterback's going to be. This was always something that I think we wanted to get to that would be healthy, but it had to be the right guy in the right situation. So now you got CJ Carr, Lloyd's grandson, and I like seeing him put that Notre Dame hat on old Lloyd there. He's never thrown a real pass in a game yet. So there's all this potential in the high end, and there's still technically a competition. He has not been named the starter. Him and Kenny May are going to battle it out, but I think I would put my money on Carr. And you just don't know what you're going to get. There's a lot of potential, big arm, all that, but you don't know what you're going to get. And the tricky part is, I want to go on that journey, but you're starting with the Miami Hurricanes, not Miami, Ohio. And your second game is Texas A&M. So that's where the rubber meets the road on this experiment. You got a brand new quarterback, never thrown a pass in a real game before. And now he's going into Miami to start his career with the weight of the Irish world on his shoulders. Nobody knows what that's going to look like. So there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of optimism, but I have no idea what I'm going to get. And I don't know what that learning curve looks like. And I don't know what his advancement level is where we're starting out. I don't know what that level is of what he can possess or not, or what's too much or not enough. I don't know. So there's a lot of uncertainty. It's like I'd never seen Riley Leonard play with the gold helmet before, but I saw him play other years, right? Like I knew kind of what I was going to get. You just don't know, and you have no wiggle room with Miami and A&M as the first two games. And by the way, Notre Dame never plays anybody or whatever. Find me a 2-game opening slate tougher than at Miami and Texas A&M this year. Maybe there is one, but that's a pretty good first two contests.
Why? What was the scheduling thinking behind that? Did it just happen to be the only 2 weeks you could play them, and you wanted to get them on the schedule?
I'm glad you asked. We were supposed to play Miami last year, and they backed out. Oh, it isn't going to work out or whatever. We can't squeeze you in, but we'll put you in week 1 the next year. So, like, they were supposed to be on the schedule last year, and they couldn't do it for whatever reason. And then it's like, we'll fit you in where we could fit you in. It ends up being week 1. That game's flexed to Sunday of Labor Day, standalone, everybody in America watching. So you got Miami, an off week, oddly positioned, and then you host A&M to start the year. So that's how that went. I don't know. They backed out last year, and then I wake up one day and it's first game this year. So I don't know.
Interesting. What if Notre Dame starts 0-2?
Can you imagine my life? Could you imagine my life? Like here, Eric, the big test now was last year a lucky run with a leader quarterback and a lighter schedule, and then you made a run in the playoff, and now you're going to regress. The big test now is Notre Dame good enough to be a perennial playoff team every year? You got a new DC, a new quarterback, injuries on the O-line already. Is this program at a place where it's good enough that they can truly reload and not rebuild and be in that playoff every damn year like you guys are and do that? Are they at that level? That's the big project here. The difference between a 2-0, a 1-1 start, and 0-2 start is it's obvious to say, but it's everything. If you're 2-0, that means the new quarterback's popping, the new defense is great, and you're a title contender. If you're 1-1, maybe it depends how it looks, right? But then you're in that area where you feel like you can't lose again if you're Notre Dame. And if you're 0-2, you know what it's going to be. It was all BS. Last year was a fluke. Fire Marcus Freeman. Bench the young quarterback. It's going to be a huge overreaction because early season games, they just get weighted more. Everybody waits for them and overreacts to what they see early. I don't even want to think about 0-2.
1-1 feels to me like almost like, yeah, cool, we're in. Like we went 1-1 in the 2 toughest games in the season for us, and mark us down for being in the playoffs. 2-0 feels like expectations through the roof. Here we go. We're going back to a championship. At that point. 0-2 feels like, oh no, what's wrong here? So it is really, I mean, to start your season off that way is really, really interesting from an outsider's perspective. Adam Dowling with a $5 super chat. Thank you. We're up now to $9 raised so far tonight. Appreciate that. So let's hypothetically say, let's go down this path. You go 1-1, 2-0. We're in the playoffs, and staring Marcus Freeman across the sideline is Ryan Day and Ohio State Buckeyes again. I've been on your show and in your chat enough to know and hear you say this. And if the chat say this, and I think Mark with glasses is in the chat. Shout out, Mark. Good to see you tonight, buddy. And I know that I think he posted this earlier that Marcus Freeman has an Ohio State problem. Explain that to me.
I mean, you obviously have all the history, right? He grew up in Ohio State culture. He understands the fan base and the standards, and is an Ohio State guy. Tressel's one of his greatest mentors. So you have all of the Ohio State history. And then his first game as Notre Dame head coach, breaking in a new quarterback that year, was at the Horseshoe, and tough game, but Notre Dame lost. The real backbreaker was the game Notre Dame had in their pocket in South Bend and let slip away with inconceivable offensive, defensive, and coaching mistakes in the last minutes. And then you have a heartbreaking loss in the title game. So that's just the way it's happened. And the fact that he's an Ohio State guy in his DNA, it brings it all together, man. And so that's just a hill. You got to get over it, and you hope get the chance to this year. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, it hurts. It sucks. You guys have a really good program with a ton of talent, and it just is what it is.
There was a report that after the game, national championship game, Marcus Freeman exited the locker room and came out and watched the Ohio State celebration.
Mm-hmm.
What was the perspective of and the narrative behind that from Notre Dame?
You know what I'm an advocate for, Eric? And I take crap for this. Sometimes fan bases, they'll massage a reality in their mind to get through the day, to feel better about it. You'll rationalize things. You'll play mind games with yourself to not let something that sucks really cut you deep. Try and blunt the blow a little bit. And I'm against that. When you have real football pain, you got to let that get you as deep as it needs to, man. For the good times, as much as you roll with that, you got to let that pain cut you as deep as it needs to and let it happen. That's Marcus Freeman doing that. Looking over there at that celebration and saying, damn it, that's where we should be. That's where I need to be, and we're not there. Letting that soak in, I think, was just him processing all this and letting that real pain get in of what he's envisioning this needs to end like for us. And that's what that is, man. Looking at your old team doing that celebration. That's what that is. Letting it cut deep and knowing you got work to do.
Do you think, though, that on top of that, he's conflicted? I mean, that's his alma mater. That's where.
No,
No, not at all, huh?
No, this is his job, man. You don't have time for that. And if it is that, I don't think so. This is too big. This is too important. And he's too bought in to the Notre Dame thing, converting to Catholicism, doing all this stuff. I don't think it was that. I think it was that needs to be us. And I'm letting this hurt me. And I'm watching them celebrate. And that's what I want. That's what I think that was. He has an affinity for Ohio State, but he's coaching Notre Dame. But in that moment, all of the stress and the excitement of that playoff run, and you got to remember, Notre Dame pretty much had to win out from week 2 on to make this playoff. After losing to Northern Illinois at home, I mean, they had to win everything, and they did, to get all the way to the end and fall short. I just think he was looking at where he wants to be and letting that pain soak in.
So if that's it, I'm assuming that's more than just your perspective. I feel that, you have a pretty good pulse of your fan base, John. And so if that's the perspective of Notre Dame fandom in general, is there any worry? Is there concern from the fan base that, we're all bought in on this guy. He's 100 times better than Brian Kelly ever was, or bought in as Brian Kelly ever was. And that's plain to see from anybody from the outside looking in. But is there any concern at all from the fan base that Marcus Freeman might want to one day go back to being a Buckeye?
Yeah. Absolutely. And that is why my Patreon partner, Mike Goolsby, former
Mhm.
linebacker captain in Notre Dame, he talks about this all the time on the Patreon live streams we do. He'll say, nothing good lasts forever. We like what Marcus Freeman is doing, and you're winning a lot of games and you're winning playoff games. You got to get that damn national championship before life changes. And Ryan Day doesn't need this anymore and goes to the NFL, or Sark does something else and this comes call. I don't know. So yeah, there's got to be a recognition this isn't going to last forever, and that's why as Freeman's about to enter his prime, you got to win. You got to get this thing over the final hump and get that statue before life changes and people do different things. It's absolutely something in the back of our minds. Um, Ryan Day may say, I won a championship and this is I don't have anything else to prove. And you guys like you are writing, if I lose one game a year, I'm going to the NFL. And then they're going to call Freeman and go, you think you're recruiting good at Notre Dame? Imagine what you could do here. Yeah, that's a problem. But I have received no indication that's imminent or he's looking. It's not a Brian Kelly situation where 2 days before the championship game, he's interviewing for NFL jobs. Like, it's not that. It's just me recognizing this is the most stable the program's been in 30 years. It ain't going to last forever. So you better get it while the getting's good before this guy keeps rising up the coaching ranks and somebody gives him a godfather and he can't refuse. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
but in no way is that immediate. Like, we all feel like he's bought into getting this thing over the hump at Notre Dame. You just can't come close, not get it done. Then he leaves and you're like frustrated because you had a lot of success, but not ultimate success. We ain't playing for no conference championship. It's win a title, get a statue, or you don't. That's it. That's all we got. So you got to get this while the getting's good before. Listen, Eric, Yankee manager, president, Notre Dame head coach. It'll age you 20 years for about every 4 years in reality. I mean it. Certain, probably add Ohio State in there too. This job will age you. It will age you, okay? So you got to get it while the getting's good.
And right behind that would be podcast host.
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell
Look
me
at
about it.
look at how gray my beard has gotten in the last 2 years.
Eric, the other day we landed a secondary recruit and his last name is Reddish. And when I was talking about him, I said, yeah, we landed Reddish, which is what color my hair was when I started doing all this. Like it used to be reddish and now it's getting grayish. And I blame Brian Kelly for that. That guy aged me 20 years. Son of a buck.
There it is. I wonder. It took us 34 minutes and 58
That's pretty
seconds.
good for me. Lasted 34 minutes. That's pretty good.
All right. I have a son of a buck question, but I got one more serious question that we need to dive into. And this is relating to all of that
Hey,
because
time out. Star that Donald Hoffer question. We need to talk about that. I like that. We'll talk about that. Hit that.
It's in my notes because
Good.
In fact, you just I'll throw it up there. Good to see Donald with us tonight. You just mentioned it. We don't get to play for a conference championship. Do you wish you could?
No, don't need to.
Why?
Now, we don't need to right now. There's no reason right now. And here, couple things here. Good question, Donald. Number one is Pete Bavacqua, Notre Dame's new AD. I don't know what he did when he walked in those meetings and they restructured the playoff format and he walks out of there where the Notre Dame no-buy thing no longer applies and Notre Dame didn't have to give up anything to get it, and now they're eligible for the round Y and we weren't before. So I don't know what negotiating magic he did, but they were able to leave there getting what we wanted and giving up nothing. Also, Notre Dame's TV money's pretty good. They got all the money for being in the playoff. So, like, as long as playoff access is good and the money's good, there's really no reason to think about joining a conference unless This is where it gets me, Eric. They figured that stuff out, and apparently the playoff decision people are playing ball with Notre Dame in a way that surprises me. Here's what could happen, though. Have you been reading that USC may back out of the Notre Dame rivalry from this year
Yeah,
on?
yeah. I actually had a USC guy, a USC on. They were our first Big Ten preview we did, and I just straight up asked him, "What's the deal with that?"
What'd they
And,
say?
well, to them it had everything that it's full. It had to do with scheduling and the fact that now that they're in the Big Ten, they feel like they play too many tough games already,
Yeah,
which is the whole SEC. We're going to play 8 games in our conference. To me, it's kind of soft, but whatever. Teach his own. Eventually, the Big Ten and the SEC, I believe, are working towards they're going to play each other one game every year.
yeah,
And so right now it doesn't work out because there's 2 more teams in the Big Ten and the SEC. But whatever, that's going to be the big non-conference game. Ohio State already has Georgia and Alabama lined up in the future, in home and homes, and that's going to be, I think, the model that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to move towards. And I believe that they're thinking we're already going to have to play a Bama, a Georgia, a Tennessee, a Ole Miss. And so why we set ourselves up to play another top tier program
yeah,
when we need to make sure we're playing at least 2 gimmies so
yeah,
that we have a chance to get in the college football playoff.
yeah. So here's how I see this. Right now, the money adds up and the playoff access is fine for Notre Dame. Those issues are covered and they were concerns, but those things have worked themselves out. We're in a good spot. What I'm worried about is if Notre Dame's lifelong greatest hated rival, USC, doesn't feel the need to play Notre Dame every year, what's to stop some of these teams on Notre Dame's future schedules from saying the same thing? Like, we got Alabama on schedules coming up. Like why can't they just say, if their own hated rival doesn't feel the need to play them, why are we going to play them? We don't need that either. We're going to back out. That would be my fear, is that USC starts a domino effect where the other big brands Notre Dame has slated to play go, you know what? We don't need this. Texas, we don't need Notre Dame. Florida, we don't need to play Notre Dame. Alabama coming up, we don't need that. Life's already hard enough. What happens to Notre Dame then if USC backs out and those other big brands back out? Then Notre Dame has an issue. Then they have a legitimate scheduling issue. So then you probably join the Big Ten. Everybody complains about it for a while, and then the games would be awesome and people will move on. But you would be losing a piece of your history and a piece of what made us what we are.
What's unique from my perspective is that it's simply a football ideology. Notre Dame is in the Big Ten in hockey already. I've I've
Yep.
been to the hockey games. I've seen it.
Yep.
They're in the ACC and everything else, I believe. So it's not like Notre Dame is allergic to conferences when it comes to athletics. Is it a pride thing from the football perspective, and is it simply a football perspective? That is it.
Yeah, this is all football related. Like, you're in the Big Ten in hockey. What are they in the ACC for the other sports? Like, it's all about football, man. Football's the thing that drives the engine. And I mention this every time I'm with you, man. I take all this crap. Why aren't you in a conference? You're scared. When Notre Dame tried to join the Big Ten, Fielding
Yeah.
Yost blocked Notre Dame. He was anti-immigrant, anti-Catholic, an open bigot, and told everybody, do not let them in the conference and do not schedule them for a game. We don't want them a part of this. That forced Notre Dame to schedule nationally, to fill out a schedule, go coast to coast. And it ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened for Notre Dame because it made him a national brand, not a regional brand. That ended up helping Notre Dame. And we've done it all these years. And unless the money doesn't add up and you don't have a fair chance at a title, there's just really no reason to, unless that scheduling goes to crap.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Adam, and I understand that, and I didn't know that until you explained that to me, John. And I actually did some research, and it's another reason why we can all hate the team up north.
Yeah.
Um, another another reason. But it's incredibly interesting to me that it seems to be like you hold on to that, but you hold on to it just for football.
Yeah,
When
but
there's
Eric, man, the women's basketball, when they're like really good, Notre Dame fans buy into that a little bit. But man, like that's about it. The basketball program's always kind of struggling, except for like once every 20 years. You don't have a lot of buy in there. We're not SEC baseball culture. Notre Dame had a good run in that tournament a handful of years ago. Football is the needle mover, man. It's Notre Dame. This is a football thing. Everything else, I'm not trying to denigrate it, but everything else is just like, it's not Notre Dame football. That's the only reason the university is what it is football. So that's driving the ship. And if you went in Big Ten, it would really hurt a lot of our people, and you're giving up your identity and a sense of pride that we did it independent when you didn't want us. We figured it out on our own. It would hurt to give that up. Um, but you would go in the Big Ten, and then you would gain the USC rivalry right back, and then add all the other Big Ten teams. The scheduling would be awesome, but you're losing a sense of self. You're losing that identity. And that's a big deal to us. I don't expect anybody else to understand that. It's a big part of all this, being the one outlier and doing it that different way.
one more question. And this was something that we chatted back and forth about, and you thought would be a good to bring up. That one's always a sore subject with Big Ten people. It's as
Yeah,
you can
but
see in the chat.
Eric, here's the problem I have with this. I catch all this crap about you're scared to join a conference and this you do this and that. Who do you have the problem with? Notre Dame or the powers that be in that room that said, yeah, Notre Dame, I guess you could do what you want and still have the bye if you're in the top four. Like, are you mad at Notre Dame? We can only accept deals offered to us. I'm not in the business of making life like we have a good situation. Like you would do it too if that
Sure.
was your life. Like there's just who are you mad at? I think people are mad at the power players that allow Notre Dame to exist like this. If they wanted to
Well,
blackball Notre Dame, they could go in that room and go, we're all in conference cahoots. You're not. And guess what? You're outnumbered. You're not eligible for the playoff unless you join. They're not doing that. They value the Notre Dame brand. They know the butts in seats and the on TV and all the history. They want Notre Dame a part of it. So it's like, don't be mad at us for accepting deals offered to us.
yeah. No, I hear you, and I'll respond by saying I think that, to be completely honest with you, there's a sense of jealousy. Let me go back a couple years to 2020 when COVID hit. Ohio State fans were all clamoring, let's leave the Big Ten. We have enough power and cachet. We can get our own television deal, and let's go independent and screw the Big Ten and Karen Warren and everything he did to try to derail the season when SEC was playing down there and weren't even distancing themselves, right? And then 2 years ago, when the Big Ten out their joke of a discipline on Jim Harbaugh, the team up north fans were all saying the same thing. Let's leave the Big Ten. Let's go independent. So there's kind of a hypocrisy to it. I will admit that, to say on one hand, why don't you join a conference? And then on the other hand, when something we don't like in the conference comes up, we all go, let's go independent, like it's that easy. And unfortunately, contracts and the way money is doled out in these things, it's not that easy. And if you need any evidence of that, go ask Florida State and Clemson right now what it's like to try to leave a conference.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. And here's the thing, man. People only want to talk about the upside of Notre Dame's independence. There's risk to being out on a branch on your own as well. Like, you don't have the same financial support from a conference TV. You get an automatic cut no matter how good you are. You'll let it, whatever. Like, there are downsides being an independent too. It's not all plus sides. So when it works for you, it's great. And when it doesn't, you're on an island by yourself to figure your way out of things. So that cuts both ways. And the other thing I remind people on Twitter all the time that come at me about this, if you think it's such an easy path to be independent, why didn't your school do it? What, like, there's no rule. Notre Dame's the only like real competitive independent. Anyone could do it. If your school thinks it's that much easier or a benefit, why don't they do it? And if you don't have the money to do it, can't get a TV deal, don't have a big enough fan base, don't have a big enough reach, that's not my problem. Like, life's not fair. Anyone could go independent. So if you wanted it that bad, go ahead and do it. Anybody could do it.
All right. Or one more sore spot. I will.
Son of a fuck.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that statement in a second. We were chatting about this a little bit, and the subject that you said we might want to get to is how has the Notre Dame community handled the OSU loss and the national championship loss. So I'll open the floor to you if you want to discuss that, and then I've got one more question before we take a commercial break.
Sure. So I'll start with me personally. Then I'll get into what I feel from on my shows, the fan base and the feel. Okay. Eric, you know that this is personal to me. I am not a guy that like did content and wrote articles and I'm a free agent and SI comes along and says, hey, we have an opening with the Notre Dame beat. Do you want to write articles and do shows about them? And I say, sure, I'm just a college football writer. I'd love to do it anywhere. This is intimately personal to me. That run from Northern Illinois, having to feel like you had to win out and then getting in the playoff, it was awesome. The electricity, the drama, the intensity, the anxiety, every week's a big game, all of this. When that ended, Eric, man, I crashed out. My brain was fried. My nerves were fried. My emotions were fried. I was completely whacked out of my brain. I was zoned out for about 3 weeks. And I was going so hard, so intense, so long. I just kind of crashed out and I needed a few weeks to just disconnect. I did content, but it was like the basics. I needed some time to let things just simmer. So that's how I had to handle it. I needed to get my legs back under me and clear my brain after all of that. For the fan base overall, it was awesome because that's the best we performed in like 30 years on the big stage. And it was proof that Freeman's heading in the right direction, could get bigger results, win big games, all of that. So overall, the fan base loved that effort and was happy to be there and do all that and make it that far and beat Georgia and beat Penn State and beat stupid Cignetti's big mouth, all of this, right? So that was good. But nothing hurts you quite like getting so close and being able to see that trophy and taste it only to fall just short. And the fact that it was to you guys was an extra dagger. And there's no way around that. So everyone was processing all those emotions at once. Really great year. Got a lot done. We haven't done in 30 years, but you didn't get the ultimate goal. Now that we're getting ready for another season, it feels like everybody's in overdrive. We got close. How do we get it over the edge? The recruiting seems to be in overdrive. The NIL's in overdrive. The fan excitement's in overdrive. It seems to be this, we know we're close. How do we get over the edge? Let's pedal to the metal now. So that's kind of the vibe now. But yeah, man, it was hard. It was tough. I will say this. This has creeped in on me as the emotions go down. You know what's good about this? That team that made it that far is nowhere close to what I think a Ty Freeman team's going to look like. Nowhere close to the talent that's going to be in this program moving forward. There were so many injuries to key guys, you wouldn't believe it. Like certain position groups weren't nearly as good as I thought they would need to be to even make it as far as we did. There's some positivity there too. That was a really banged up roster with some flawed position areas, and they made it that far. That's a good sign because that'll be nowhere close to what the best athletic Freeman team's going to look like. That's encouraging. But you didn't win the championship. It hurts.
All right. I've been dying to know this answer. Where did son of a buck come from?
Dude, think about how great this is. I want to say son of a bee, like the real bee, but I wanted to keep the show family, SI friendly. And I also want to say son of an F with the real word. And you couldn't do that. So son of a buck is a way for me to have the B and the yuck without getting in trouble. So I just started saying son of a buck. And then it covers the son of a B and the son of an F without me getting in trouble. It's the best of both worlds. That's how it happened. One day I just said, how am I going to do this without getting in trouble? Son of a buck came out, and now the thing.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to make a small fortune just taking wagers on what time, when the over under of when the first son of a buck will come out in a program. So
it was my way to get the emotion out, but clean up the language, and I'm proud of it. Donald has another good question there, Eric.
all right. Hello. Are we here? Okay. Are we back?
Gotcha. I don't know if you heard that. Donald has another good question there. Can I address that?
Yeah, go for it.
Donald's a good question asker tonight. John, do you think if Freeman doesn't win a title in the next 5 years, the ND fan base will want him gone? As a Buckeye fan, I felt that for Ryan Day the last 4 years. I have a hard time seeing the results get worse, like falling out of playoff contention regularly. The recruiting's never been better in modern Notre Dame times. You're going to have more talent than ever. I just don't see this happening unless it really dropped off and you're 8-4, 9-3 a bunch of years. I don't think that's going to happen with the talent they're bringing in. So as long as you're making that playoff regularly, people like Freeman, man. Donald, you gotta understand, living with Brian Kelly is not easy. Just ask his. Living with Brian Kelly is not easy. And this guy's a breath of fresh air, and people really like him personally. And that's a big deal at Notre Dame. If you don't have that ability to where the fan base likes you, the administration likes you, the higher ups in the dome like you, the priests like you, the don't like you. If those things turn on you at Notre Dame, you have no shot. Everybody's in Freeman's corner. So unless they fall out of playoff contention, people right now want Freeman here as long as he wants to be here. That's my answer.
All right, guys, we're going to give John a couple minutes here. I got an ad read and a quick commercial, and then we're going to dive right back into it. Today's episode is brought to you by A Place at Home Senior Care. Is your loved one recovering from a hospitalization, stroke, or fall, or living with dementia and needing support at home? A Place at Home Dublin provides home care supportive services like bathing, dressing, mobility assistance, and medication reminders, all in the comfort at home. Learn more at aplaceathome.com/Dublin or call 740-472-8181. And after my hiking trip in the state of New York, I almost had to have my wife call aplaceathome.com Dublin because this guy was needing some oxygen after that hike. But we made it. We survived. They did have to call a helicopter in for somebody while we were there because there's no road. You're down. It's in Watkins Glen, New York. You're down in this gully, and it's there's no way out but through helicopter. So pretty awesome place though. Highly recommend visiting that. All right, we're going to do a quick commercial break here, guys. We'll be right back in just a few seconds.
The OHIO podcast is brought to you by Mastermind. Mastermind specializes in 360-degree high-definition mobile video mapping, GIS integration, and traffic safety studies. Mastermind cares about traffic safety and keeping you safe on the roadway. Visit Mastermind at onlinemastermind.com.
Thankful to all 46 of you on YouTube who are watching currently. Please, if you haven't already, hit that like button, as we like to say here at the OHIO podcast. Go ahead and smash it. Over 109 people watching between all the platforms, so that's a great number. Thank you, John, for coming on here and boosting our numbers this evening. We appreciate that. And shout out to you, John, for all the behind-the-scenes things you've done to help me personally and with this channel and over at the College Huddle, where we now have 85 as of today. 85 different members and still growing over there at the College Huddle. It's a great community and a great place to hang out and learn about other schools. And if you haven't already, please consider going over to the College Huddle's YouTube channel. It's at College Huddle on YouTube, where I interview a lot of different people, very similar to what we just did there with John, talking to other people about their schools and the teams that they cover, and then we have a great time. All right, John, it's time to flip the script here. It is now your turn as host to ask questions and dive into whatever you want to talk about moving forward.
I don't know, man. I've never hosted a show before. I'm gonna have to see how I do.
This ought to be. Do we need to open the phone lines up? I mean,
the first time for everything. Number one is Sean Duffy. Good Irish name, by the way, for an Ohio State guy. Sean Duffy's the one sent me the Buckeyes last year. Okay. And I never opened them. And so what I'm going to do now is I sit them here, a prop. I got a few props I use, and they'll sit here wrapped up. I will open and eat one only when Notre Dame beats Ohio State or Notre Dame wins the championship. Whichever comes first, I will eat these on the air no matter how many years go by till I stroke out or croak out in this stupid basement. When we beat Ohio State or win the championship, I'll eat these live, and whatever condition they're in, I'm going to deal with it, and you're all going to watch it. Until then, it's just a prop for me to get mad at.
Hey, throw some on the floor.
That's that. I got all my props. Whenever somebody enters the spin zone, I got my spinner going. I got a little box of props. I'm like Gallagher over here, Carrot Top or something.
Carrot Top.
I got
that. The old Carrot Top, not the new one that's all spaced out.
But Carrot Top got on roids. Have you seen that dude?
Oh, yeah, he's
something wrong with that guy. Anyways, I'm gonna start out by asking you a question that really hurts me to bring up. Quite frankly, it's painful to ask. How do you, as an Ohio State guy, process and approach the year after you win the championship? I wouldn't know what that's like. How do you approach that? Is it money in the bank? We got what we wanted, and now it's like whatever happens, we're still in a good mood? Or is it like clean slate? You got to go win one again or ride Ryan Day out of here. Like, how do you process it with that title in your back pocket leading into the year after it? How do you do that?
Are you asking me personally, or are you asking from a fan base perspective? Because that is two different answers.
Both.
Okay. This is me not rubbing salt in the wound at all. So it's going to sound like it, but it's not. All 3 national championships that we've won in my lifetime, I have been at personal different stages of my life. And so I have a different appreciation for every one of them based off of what I was involved in and doing in my life. I was in college during the Tressel years when we won in 2002. So that one is still my favorite, but it's like when I was in college. And so it happens and it's a blur, The next one under Urban was almost like expected in a weird way. Like we got Urban, it's how many are we going to win? And so when you won that first one with Urban, you already are, well, it's on to the next year. We have the best team in 2015. We're going to win another one, right? Which was a huge disappointment because you had essentially the exact same roster. And then you come to this one, and this one felt like a huge weight was lifted off of the fan base and specifically off of Ryan Day. Going into this season, John, in my mind, it's whether we win it or not this year. By the way, I think college football is wide open now. Like, yes, there are still a few handful of teams where you can say, yeah, they're pretty good. They might be able to win one. It's more than what it used to be, but it's still kind of like wide open a little bit. The haves and have-nots, that is. But this is all about beating that team up north in my mind. He's got to win that game. And
Yeah,
to
does
me,
he? But does he? Because he didn't, and you hosted the trophy. So
I mean,
does he? Like when you say you got to win that game, do you? Because you just won the championship without it. So what do you mean?
I think for him, historically speaking, in the mind of Ohio State fans, he will always have a black cloud over him if he ends up being John Cooper with national titles. There is a very real narrative out there, and I am all bought in on this narrative. And if I get the chance to talk to John Cooper, which Ryan's setting that up for me to actually get to go to John Cooper's house, meet him, and interview him. The number one question I have for him is, I've heard him talk about this. How many national champions do you think you would have won in this era with the teams you had in the 90s? Because he just couldn't get over the hump of the Ann Arbor hump. But he had in 96 and 98 the best rosters, hands down. Hands down. And if he would have won national championships but still had that record against the rival, essentially he's Ryan Day. And so I don't want that perspective from the fan base to be applied to Ryan Day at the end of his career at Ohio State like has been applied to Cooper. And it's going to be. It's just people, they already call him John Cooper 2.0 with a national championship. I don't want that for him.
But it's alarming to me, the casual nature with which you end the sentence with, "Oh yeah, but with the national championship." Like isn't that the most important thing?
I mean, I think the disconnect you're feeling here is the conference disconnect. For many, many, many years, the Big Ten title went through whoever won the game. And so you have all this history build up between Woody and Bo, the 10-year war, the fact that they beat us 19 straight times or whatever it was before we even had a real football team, and they count that towards the overall record. And then you have where the last 2 decades we dominated, and then now you've got the switch, but now you've got the cheating scandal on top of it, and all of this drama, layer and layer after layer of drama with this. It means so much to these fan bases. It literally, and you see it in your chat all the time, John, with between them and their fans and our fans, it never stops. It's 365 days out of the year of trolling each other, hating each other, poking at each other. And it's only gotten worse since the internet's gotten more broad. And it means at the end of the day, if Ryan Day can't right the ship against them, it is a stain on his record as Ohio State coach in the eyes of many in this fan base.
Yeah.
And so this year to me is about righting that ship, getting it straight. Let's win that game and get in the playoffs, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah. Right? We got one. The expectation there is let's get there and compete, but we got to win that game, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I just find that really compelling, knowing how emotional and what a big deal that is, and the pure hatred, and you know what I say all the time, Eric, and I believe this: college football hatred brings the country together.
Yeah.
It is so. It's people laugh when you say it, but I mean it when I say college football hatred brings the country together, because it's like everybody has their different team and a reason to hate the other team. But at the end of the day, it's bonded by that love of what college football is overall. And we all bond on that. Nobody in America could agree on anything, but damn it, we all like football. You know what I mean? Like we've never been more divided in society, but we all like football. So like, I understand that, but I just wondered what a weird place it is to be when you win that championship, but you lose that game. It doesn't logically make sense. I'm sure everybody would have said if Ohio State's going to win the title, they're going to beat Michigan on way to doing it, right? Like,
Right. It's
so
the
yeah,
first
like,
time ever in the
yeah,
history of the rivalry where a team that lost
yeah.
went on to win.
And see,
It's the first time ever.
I didn't know that, but I was just thinking that's got to be just the oddest juxtaposition there, those two dynamics. So that's okay. So that's a good answer about how you're looking at this. I want to ask you another Michigan thing. What do you think should happen to them in the sign stealing, whatever Connor Stallions thing? What do you think the discipline should be? Understanding it's a Notre Dame guy, an Ohio State guy talking about it. Let's be open about that. One thing we can all agree on here is we don't like those people. What do you think the discipline should be that's appropriate? And then what do you think it's going to end up being in reality and practicality?
I'll take the second part first because my people argue with me on this so much. Now, thankfully, I have Chris who can, and Sean and TG as well, who who can help my fan base get over the fact that usually I am not the way they're thinking. Okay, that helps out because as you know, if you're the only person on your show and there's no one else to bounce back off of, people either love you or they hate you and leave, right? So I have that perspective. I have had zero faith in the NCAA for so long.
Fair.
I believe that they pretty much are a toothless organization, and I I just don't. I to me, I'm Missouri on this. Show me, prove it to me.
They're so inconsistent, Eric. You never
Yes,
they nail some people and then
and
other
then do
people get to skate and then they
yeah,
nail somebody and then somebody like that's the problem I have is they're so wildly inconsistent
right.
that I can never trust what they're going to do and there's just no like string of logic of like precedent. They're all over the board, nailing nothing, nailing a nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I feel like college football needs a commissioner in the worst possible way. As much as I can't stand some of the commissioners in these athletic associations, I think it's going to be in the middle. I think it's going to be just
Yeah.
enough to
Yeah.
where they do something to where Michigan fans are mad and Ohio
And we're
State
not
fans are
happy.
and we're
Yeah.
not happy. It's
Yep.
going to be somewhere in there.
Yep.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yep.
What does that
All
look
of it.
like? I
Yep.
don't know. What I believe should happen
Yeah.
is
Let's see if we're on the same page with this. Let me hear you out and I'll give you mine. I got a couple ideas. I want to see if we're close on this.
I believe that they should take away every win that they had for the last basically the 3 years. Every single one of them. And the argument of, well, they can't take away the championship because they got rid of Connor Stallions in the middle of 2024. To me, it's the whole season. It's the whole season. I know some are saying they can't take away a national championship, but the NCAA absolutely can say we no longer recognize that national championship. Doesn't mean that they're going in and removing the trophy out of the trophy case, but we don't recognize it. So they absolutely should take away all of those wins. I believe that Sharon Moore and Jim Harbaugh and the other coaches who were involved, who were benefited off of that, should have show causes. I believe Jim Harbaugh should be never allowed to coach in college football ever again. I believe Sharon Moore and the other coordinator should probably have at least 1 year show cause for what they did. Honor Stallions should never be allowed inside a college football stadium or on a sideline ever again, in my opinion. As far as moving forward, I don't think that taking away scholarships matters anymore when you have NIL. It just doesn't. So to me, that's whatever. I don't care about that. But what does matter would be postseason bans.
Yep.
I also don't think that slapping a financial fine on the university does anything either.
No.
They have some of the richest donors in the country who would more than happily pay that out. So again, that to me could care less. But I think that they should have at least a 2-year postseason ban, and I would definitely accept 3 if they give it. Anything less than 2 is not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So we're thinking very similarly here. Here's my argument. When they say Connor Stallions, we stopped doing then whatever, so it's all good or whatever. You benefited artificially from momentum created of all those games you were doing it, and you created all that program momentum and all that stuff off of that. You don't that matters. So then just because you stopped at a certain point doesn't mean you still aren't benefiting from everything you gained by doing it. That's number one. I agree with you. How is Sharon Moore still the guy? He's the one deleting the text from Stallions, the guy standing right by him or whatever, and he's the face of the program now. I don't understand how that guy's safe. That bothers me. Harbaugh gets to go live by the ocean in California and make a bunch of money, and everything's great for him. He did a Pete Carroll. Same thing was going to hit USC, and he goes and he's just fine. So here's what I want. Like you said, all those wins or losses, or whenever anybody Googles recent championships, there's an asterisk next to theirs that says contested due to cheating. And like some literal scarlet letter that everybody knows not to respect this. Then I want that postseason ban. And I know that's not fair to the kids there now that didn't have anything to do. Transfer out and go to Ohio State or Notre Dame and we'll take you. Sorry. They need a bowl ban to where the future's also affected. I want the recruiting class fall apart and the best players to go to my place and your place to go be in the playoff. So that's what I want. Dude, I'm going to be pissed off if they do all these hearings and all the arbitration and all this crap and it's some slap wrist. That ain't going to cut it. Like, so,
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't trust these people. I do not trust these people.
It's going to be something that I'm sure of, because they have, if you just look at the way the NCAA has gone about this thing and you look at what they've doled out, like I think it was Tennessee just got hit with something where they took games from them for a much lesser, in my opinion. It's going to be something. I just don't know what it's going to be. And I started out thinking it ain't going to be nothing. This is a total waste of time. And my people have drugged me along, sometimes me kicking and screaming, but they've drugged me along to where it's going to be something. I just can't buy into the whole hammer thing and the whole death penalty thing, because I don't know what death penalty looks like in this era.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is with the death penalty, if Penn State didn't get it for their issue they had, then I have a hard time seeing them do it for like an on the field issue. If stuff with kids wasn't enough to get them banned, like that's off the table. But take away those wins, mark an asterisk. We don't acknowledge this. No one respects it outside of Ann Arbor and their state-run media, right? Nobody will respect it. But I don't want this to all be over. I want a forward-looking penalty so it keeps sticking it to these people to where no recruits want to go there and the good players leave because they're not eligible for the playoff the next 3 years or whatever. But I'm with you. If you said, what would you put $100 on? Right in the middle. Enough that the Michigan people feel insulted, but not enough that it makes a guy like me or you happy. That would be my guess. Right in the middle. I don't trust these people. Now, here's what gives me a little hope, though, Eric. We don't trust them. They're inconsistent with their judgments and all this stuff. They're weaselly, like whatever. We agree on all that. However, these people have egos. They're holding on to power that they're otherwise losing in the overall atmosphere of pay for play and NIL and all this. They don't even run the playoff. There's a committee for that. Like, they're a group that's rapidly losing power.
Yep.
Now you got Michigan not playing nice, lying to them, not being cooperative and everything. Harbaugh basically giving them the finger every time they want information. That gives me a little hope, because if there's one thing that would make them do something, it's their egos getting attacked and they're grasping for whatever power they still have.
Yep.
And maybe they'll be upset and pissed off that Harbaugh basically gave them the finger. Maybe they'll nail them out of that pettiness. And in this case, good.
Yeah. I hope so. You know, I've often called them the most pompous, arrogant fan base in school that there is, and this to me just proves 100% that my thoughts on them have always been correct. It's the most arrogant thing to do exactly how they've gone about it. So yeah, I think John, you and I agree on that, and we'll see. I thought maybe we might hear something right before Big Ten Media Days, and if that's the case, it's going to be coming down any day. But sounds like they're holding on to something more, and it could be what else is going to come out before we just destroy the program. I don't know, you know.
And the other thing is, I've heard. I was on the phone this morning with one of my guys from my circle, and he was saying, is not like what a lot of this stuff doesn't go to a final hearing. There's like an agreement, like a agreement for a lower thing that you agree to or whatever. Fine. If that's going to be a negotiated settlement or whatever, I'm fine with that, as long as it's penal. It can't be a slap on the wrist. The lowest level of what it needs to be bad. Like, I'm fine with the settlement, but it still needs to be bad. It's a bad look for them to do all this long and come out with a little slap on the wrist, fine, and you lose 5 scallies. Big deal. Totally worth cheating for a title for that.
Oh yeah. Well, I've made the argument since the beginning that Ross Bjork, the athletic director for Ohio State, should come out and basically threaten the NCAA that says, okay, if you're not going to hit these guys tomorrow, we are going to be spending X amount of millions of dollars on advanced scouting at Ohio State from here on out. And oh yeah, by the way, give us our wins back you took away from the Trestle era when some players paid for tattoos.
Yeah, I want a resolution, and it was the evidence, man, the statistics from before to when it was happening. It's just all right there.
Astronomical.
It's all of that evidence is right there. Like, there's no way around this to me. And and that stupid Santa, oh no, I'm the new Michigan president, I love it. He skipped town in under a year, tried to go to Florida, and they said, we don't want you. So the whole thing rubs me the wrong way. All their media, it's state-run media I don't respect. You never get the true scoop. So I want them to get nailed. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah. What else you got, brother?
Here's something on my mind.
Okay.
I've been hearing about what the next playoff format may look like. And I think I saw today they're looking at maybe like the 5 automatic bids for the conference winners and maybe 11 at large, bringing it to 16. And that seems to be what everybody in the room wants, other than the Big Ten and the SEC. And they're looking at, we want like 4 teams each. So that'd be half of that field guaranteed. What are your thoughts on that? Are you pushing for that, or is this just the two groups that have the power right now saying, let's just go for it?
Can I push to go back to 2000, please? That's what I mean.
I mean,
Gosh,
I
I
know.
it I have thought from the very beginning that the whole playoff thing is screwed up, and it's being driven by money,
Obviously.
100%, which is never, in my opinion, a good thing for
Yeah, but we're a
fans.
part of it. But how can we complain? Because I watch every one of those playoff games and it's must
100%.
see TV. So I can't complain that it's about money when we're contributing to that.
I know 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and I it's like my people complain about NIL and the transfer portal, and the amateur model's dead and everything, but yet come the end of August, we're all going to be sitting in front of our television screens from August to January watching every single Saturday because we love the sport, and so that's what it's just going to be. I would love to see college football somehow get back to regional model. What I mean by that, something similar to what we see in college baseball, where the regional winners go on to the NCAA tournament, if you will, and you break the country down into regions, and that's the first round of the playoffs, and then the regions play each other the second round, etc. But the conferences will never agree to that. They'll never go down that path because there's too much money in it. And so, as a Big Ten fan, of course, I want to make sure Ohio State has a way to get in every single year if possible. Um, that just makes sense for me as a Buckeye fan and a Big Ten supporter in general. But as a college football fan, I love the idea at the beginning of the year, every single team has opportunity to get in. It's kind of what makes the NCAA basketball tournament what it is. There's a such thing as Cinderella. Now, we all know, we see the ratings. Cinderella means bad ratings at the end of the day. We all love it in the first round and the second round, but after that, give us the big boys. And it's going to be no different in college football. We're going to want to see Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, USC. We're going to want to see Texas. We want these power programs at the end of the day playing for all the marbles. And so however that model is going to look, it is going to be what it is, but from a Big Ten perspective, of course I want there to make sure Ohio State has every opportunity to go 10-2, still get in, and go win a national championship.
Yeah. Yeah, like here's how I see it. Let's be crystal clear. Everybody knows the scoreboard. Right now, the Big Ten and the SEC are the two power players. They're at the head of the table and they're driving a lot of this. They're the two power entities right now in that room. So I don't blame them for pushing for as much as they could get that benefits them. Like
Sure.
you're in the power chair. That's what you should do. But what I'm saying is if they go to 16 and it's 5-11, if you think that much of your conference, you're going to get a lot of places in the at-large anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you believe you're that good, then you don't have anything to worry about. It doesn't need to be automatic. You're going to get teams in there filling those spots on the 11 side. So like I get that you want to go for it to be able to lock it in and count on it. But the reality are those two conferences are probably going to dominate that 16-team field anyways.
More than likely, yes. But but I will make this argument for the Big Ten in this perspective, and I think you will agree with this. Sometimes those ratings get inflated based off of people's opinion of a conference, looking at the SEC in general, right? We're so good, and our fifth and sixth best team would destroy everybody in the Big. And then you get to the bowl games, and that's not the case at all. Okay, so I don't want to see the SEC at the end of the day, when it's a 16-team tournament and they've got 7 teams in the tournament, that's not how this should be. So if they break it down to where it's 4-4, 2-2, or whatever, and then you have the at-large in Notre Dame, I'm more happier with that than I am with the 5 plus whatever 11 model, because I think the SEC looks at that and says, well, we're going to manipulate that by making sure we play the Citadel in week number 11 to boost our win totals, and then sit here back here and everybody chant SEC, SEC when you've done nothing. Look at the rest of the SEC, not named Georgia and Alabama and LSU, to sit there and chant SEC, SEC all day long like you've done something.
Yeah.
When you haven't. To me, it's ridiculous. Play 9 conference games, guys. It's
Yeah.
soft.
Do we agree that, like last year's format, I have no problem with Arizona State and Boise being in the tournament? There's no way you could tell me those teams deserve round 1 buys based off their schedules.
Yeah.
That's what I had a problem with. They deserve to be in the field and have a chance. But there's no way you could convince me they went through the road a Big Ten team or an SEC team had to get there.
Right.
Like, I had no problem being in it, but they did not deserve automatic buys. Come on.
Well, and on top of that, look at the seeding Penn State got. They lose the Big Ten tournament, and they get rewarded by playing SMU and then Boise State back-to-back games, and then got an inflated ego before they took on you guys. Thank you, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, for that one. By the way, James Franklin, Penn State's this year's darling for everybody, and James Franklin's going to have to prove it to me, because James Franklin, I've been saying it forever, James Franklin will James Franklin himself at some point.
No,
I'm
James
sorry.
Franklin or Brian Kelly himself. That's what this is.
Before James Franklin, it was Brian Kelly, huh?
The next bullet point on my list I have written is Penn State people are weird. That is literally the last thing I had on my notes. So you're leading me right into it. Here's what I've been saying. James Franklin, Penn State is operating like Notre Dame under Brian Kelly. And here's what I mean by that. Big brand name program with all the history in the helmet. Everybody knows all this crap. They're going to win like 10 games most years just based on the talent they're rolling out on the field. They get you all hyped up and bought in. And then in the needle mover games, they're going to let you down. That was what Kelly was doing at Notre Dame. And I see the exact same thing from James Franklin. He's the only guy with the worst big game record than Kelly. Makes Kelly look like Frank Leahy reincarnate. Okay? So I just keep seeing them getting all this. They're the number 1 team. They're the pick this year. They're this. You got to prove it. Until he starts winning those needle mover games against teams with equal or better talent, he is Notre Dame Brian Kelly out at Penn State. And he's a quirky, weird personality guy. I think he's a fake tough guy. He tried to big brother Marcus in the pregame build up to our game, and I didn't appreciate it. I'll believe it when I see it with that guy.
Yeah, 100%. I think the thinking behind it. By the way, thank you, Ryan Day's Championship Beer, for $5 holler. That'll go to Second and 7, as well as Bobby Max $5 super chat. Can the Big Ten remove scum from revenue sharing from few years and make them pay back the 3 years of cheating, even if just postseason? That would be interesting. Make them pay back some of the money.
It is, but money doesn't. They got money. That doesn't satisfy me because they got the money.
Yeah,
it's not going to affect anything because somebody's going to write that check.
Right. Getting back to Penn State.
Weirdos.
Just traveled through the state of Pennsylvania again. My wife and I, we go up to the Erie, Pennsylvania area, which is not a huge Penn State fan base, I've learned. Got a lot of friends in the Pittsburgh area. You want to talk about a fan base that has become apathetic. They're still, a lot of them, those ones I talk to, they are cautiously optimistic. They are weary of James Franklin. rightfully so. I've never met a coach who
That is
argues
not my
more.
experience. That is not what
Yeah,
I'm seeing. That is not my
it's not the
experience.
internet Penn State fans or the
Okay,
Twitter
yeah,
Penn State fans, but
I'm getting that Twitter group and stuff. And like after our game, and then a few weeks ago, they thought they were going to get 2 recruits back to back. We ended up getting them, and
right.
so now our algorithms are crisscrossing. These people are delusional to me. I mean, they've already won the Super Bowl, and they're getting on my damn last nerve. They
uh
are.
yeah, it's just funny though. They don't interact with us because they can't.
Yeah, what are you
You
going to say?
think you think Notre Dame's got and Marcus Freeman's got an Ohio State problem. Look at their record under James Franklin against Ohio State.
Yeah.
It is awful. He's got 1 win, and
Yeah.
it was fluky at that against Urban Meyer. So yeah, they're gonna have to prove it, and they got to come to the shoe this year. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they're at that point. Again, I don't think James Franklin is him. I just don't think he's it.
Me neither.
And
I think he's a fake tough guy, is how it comes off to me. Like he carries himself in a way that I don't think he's won enough to carry himself like. Brian Kelly did the same thing and it rubbed me the wrong way. He walks around like you've won stuff. You have. So dial it down.
yeah, and on top of that, I don't know if there's a bigger coach, a greater hot seat, and it's not like, oh, he's going to be fired. I think the expectations have never been higher for him, and if he doesn't achieve that this year, I ask the question: if he doesn't win this year, when will he ever win?
Yeah.
He can't. I think he will have to admit, I can't win here if I can't win with this team. So this is a make or break year for James Franklin in
Total
Happy
weirdo.
Valley.
Total weirdo. I don't like those people. I think it's a weird cult in its own way. Like the guy was yelling at his own fans during the yeah, dude. He was yelling at his own. Only that guy would yell at his own fans at their own spring game. Like something about that guy bothers me. And the way he tried to big brother Marcus before our game, I'm like, dude, you do not have the skins on the wall to be talking down to our guy that way. Like you haven't won anything. So I don't like them. They're quickly rising up my crap list here of people I don't like. Added to the list with the 4 USC fans and all the LSU Brian Kelly people and Michigan, I guess. You know?
Yeah. Thank you, Coconut, for the $5 super chat. I believe that brings our total this evening to almost $20 in super chats. Thank you, everybody, for doing that this evening and raising some extra money for 2nd and 7 as we try to inch our way closer to $1,000 for our second free library. Appreciate all of you tonight in the chat. John, appreciate you joining us this evening. It was a lot of fun. I know you got to go. It's that time. Shout out Always Irish if you liked for everybody. Everybody in the chat already knows you. Most of the people in the chat will show up anyways and play around with you guys in the chat. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. on Always Irish call-in show, 10 a.m. Eastern, that is 9 Central your time. And make sure you guys subscribe to his channel so you get that good son of a buck content from that John
I
drops out there.
appreciate the invite. And you know, man, there's a lot of the internet's a gateway to a lot of bad, okay, and a lot of negativity and a lot of division. But when the internet works in a good way and brings good people together, that's the best of that. And meeting all the people in my podcast YouTube ecosystem and meeting a guy like you and becoming friends behind the scenes and all this stuff, like that's the good part of the internet. There's a lot of bad. But I'm fortunate to be able to meet a lot of really good people through all this too. So it took me a while, but I'm happy to be back on here. And then we need to do when camp gets going and there's that full we're back energy. Let's regather and do something. Maybe I hit on your show, you hit on mine. Let's do something else here before we get the season going.
Love it. Absolutely. We will do that, everybody. 100%. Let's make sure we do that. John, I appreciate this so much, man. I know you got to go. Again, thank you, everybody in the chat. You all were great tonight. even bugged some of them M people who showed up to see what we were doing, to pick on them tonight. So that was a lot of fun. On the way out, John, I have something special for everybody.
Oh boy.
Yes. So I through the wonderful world of AI, I was motivated one day,
Oh
and I
no.
sat down and I used some artificial intelligence to create
That's
John
the only
Kennedy
kind I got.
to create John Kennedy a song. And so on the way out, I would like to play for everybody a special song I made for John. He's heard this, by the way. Mark with Glasses made a little video for it that he sent John's way.
I'm
Uh,
holding it. I'm going to release it on my stuff right before the season. I'm
oh,
sitting on
are
this.
you?
I am sitting on this, and I have it queued up, and I'm going to wait till we're like fully back. You could do it too, but I'm going to put it out to my people when we're real close to the season.
All right. So what we'll do, thank you for another $5 super chat, Coconut. What we will do is I will play just the audio tonight. We'll let John, he will, on our way out, I'll play the audio, and then John will release his video later this year. But thank you so much, John. I appreciate you, my man. Until next time, be kind one another. I owe someone's OH with all your heart. You all know what to do. John, help me out. OH!
No.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy the world premiere of Son of a Buck.
Son of a buck.
Oh, gather round, ye fans so bold, let tales of John Kennedy unfold. With green and gold upon his chest, he loves the Irish more than the rest. He's on the mic, he's full of fire, with rants that never seem to tire. One thing's clear, when he's had enough, he'll yell out loud, "Son of a buck!" He's always Irish through and through, with Notre Dame in every shoe. He dreams of titles late at night. Before he dies, they'd better win one right. So raise your glass and shout with luck, and scream along, "Son of a buck." Now Brian Kelly packed his bags for LSU and purple flags. John cursed the day he walked away, and burns his voodoo doll each day. He says, "Go south, you snake in ties, you left us flat with phony lies. May your gumbo curdle and your crawfish suck, you rat-faced clown, son of a buck." He's always Irish, never gray. He roasts the haters every day. From Michigan to Buckeye Land, their fans he just can't understand. He mocks their trance with Irish pluck, and ends it all, "Son of a buck." He sees Ohio State on TV, and instantly yells, "Don't talk to me." He'd rather eat turf, kiss a duck, than root for those sons of bucks. Each fall he sits with eyes aglow when Irish players steal the show. But one thing still gnaws at his soul, that natty dream, that glory goal. Just one he pleads with football fate, "Before I stroll through heaven's gate. Until then I'll raise hell and shuck, and end each show, son of a buck." He's always Irish, loud and proud. He'll preach it strong and preach it loud. He wants a title shiny gold, before he's gray and wrinkled old. So drink to John and wish him luck, and chant with joy, "Son of a buck!" Son of a buck.